Hey guys, welcome back to Basic Binges here on Nom Talk Network. I'm Mike Manalo, your host for our recap of Ms. Marvel episode 3. Thank you guys all for joining us. It's been an amazing journey so far. Today I'm joined by Mike Lee. Mike, if you want to introduce yourself to everyone.
Hello, I'm Mike Lee, and I'm a big fan of Captain Marvel. So I mean, Miss Marvel. I've been enjoying all 3 episodes. You can find my work at That's It LA, We Live Entertainment, and The Nerds of Color.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. And of course, our wonderful guest from episode 1 of Ms. Marvel, our recap show for Ms. Marvel, Jasmin Abdulla. How are you, Jasmin? It's good to have you back.
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good, thanks. Do you want to give a little bit of a shout out to folks who are joining for the first time and where they can find you?
Yeah, sure. So my username is Jasmin Joestar on everything. Sorry, Jasmin Joestar on everything. JSMIN Joestar, and I am a big Miss Marvel fan. So I am really happy to be here and join you guys again.
Yay! We're glad to have you, Jasmin. And you got to show people the cap. I think people are gonna love the cap.
So this is
the cap.
Yeah, this is an official Miss Marvel hat. And I got it from Disney. So it's official Disney merchandise. And yeah, I got like literally everything that was there. Everything Miss Marvel. I've been collecting everything her since she dropped in like 2014. So I mean, I have like the figures, I have the merchandise, I have like both figures. So this is like her OG outfit in the comics, and then this is her newer outfit that you could see in which one is this one actually? Because it's not
the game, right?
The game, yeah.
Yeah, it looks
the game,
like the game.
I guess, yeah. So this is the game, which I wish did better, but yes. So the motif of like blue, red, and gold has been like it's in all of them. I don't know if you guys can like really see that, but yeah. But yeah, it's really cool. So I've been collecting her stuff for a while. So yeah, lots of Miss Marvel merchandise. I am a very happy adult that has adult money that could fulfill my childhood wishes of just like collecting so much stuff. I also have Lockjaw, so there you go. He's a baby. I hope we get to see him. I will lose my shit if I see him in the series. I'm just like, I'll like scream the loudest scream. But yeah, so thanks for having me again.
We love that. This is why we love having you, Jasmin. You're just so enthusiastic and fun. And I'm also, just in the honor of today, I'm rocking an Avenger Con shirt, just, you know, for the sake of it.
Oh my God. Where did
also available, I think, well, for me, I think it was Amazon that I bought this from. By the way, everyone, just for the record, I'm sure you all know we're paid for all this. No, I'm kidding. We're not. We're not just shilling merchandise.
Checks coming in, mail.
Disney and Marvel.
Yeah,
we're here.
This is why we live in such luxurious mansions. It's because we shill product all the time for Marvel. No, I'm kidding. No, we're just happy. Like as Jasmin said, we're just happy fans that happen to have paychecks now. Not from this, not from shilling things.
Not from this.
from jobs that we work, because we're regular Joes. You know, not Marvel money. There's no Marvel money. And yeah, we spend it on Marvel stuff. So in the sense that we're spending it on Marvel stuff, it is Marvel money in that definition. We're going to change the subject anyway.
We're manifesting it. So, and if anyone's out there like, hey, we're here. So
oh my God, I think none of what I said was convincing, so hopefully I don't care. People can think what they want. It's not true. Anyways, okay, I think we should dive right in the interest of erasing everything I just said. What did you guys think of the show overall? You know, this particular past episode. First reactions for the collective episode, and then we'll dive into details afterwards. Jasmin, please go first. We'd love to. What's your take?
Oh my God. So can we discuss spoilers? Yes.
Yeah. Let's let it rip.
Let's go for it.
Oh wait, before you do, anyone watching who hasn't seen the show, spoiler alert. I don't know why you're watching this right now if you haven't seen it and just want to get spoiled, but we're gonna let it rip. So opening that can of spoiler, go ahead, Jasmin.
Okay, so there was such a fuss about how they're going to change her powers, and I wasn't really like, we saw a little bit here in episode 1 and episode 2, but like now they have seriously like doubled down. She is not inhuman. Like they straight up went a whole nother direction. So maybe they'll introduce that in the future again and like tie it back in, probably with the introduction of the X-Men, as has been hypothesized by so many Marvel fans, especially after Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, and we saw Reed Richards from the Fantastic Four and Charles Xavier. We're like, oh, for sure the X-Men are coming into the MCU. But anyway, it seems like they went a very cultural route, and I'm like really excited about this because I've discussed it a lot with people in my personal past. And so they decided to discuss, that's a lot of D words, Jinn. And it was very interesting because I don't know if I'm Muslim, and I try to tell people Islam is more than just like, you know, what the Western media puts us out to be, extremists and stuff. There's actually a lot of spirituality. They believe in witchcraft. They believe in ghosts. They believe in genies and demon not necessarily even being like evil entity. So the fact that they introduced Jinn, which sounds like genie, so Genie from Aladdin, that is what the, inspiration of his name is. I think it's really, really cool. And I think it's a awesome way of tying in everything, as well as tying in what the multiverse as well. So I absolutely love it. This is a very creative direction. Was definitely not expecting that, but I'm excited to see it. And I think it's a fresh breath of air into the MCU.
I'm glad you feel that way. And we are definitely diving into the Jinn part of this for sure. So I really want to get your thoughts on that. Before we do, of course, Mike, your general impressions on the episode. What do you think?
So I really like this. It's so refreshing to see how much cultural influence there is, and how it weaves its way into the MCU so nicely, so organically, and it just feels so natural. It feels like it's just how do I put it? It feels right, basically, and it's not forced or anything like that. There's no agenda, no message. It's kind of a celebration of the Muslim culture, and I really appreciate how they're doing it in this kind of way. I know there are some people who might not like it, or is just catering to like the masses, but I think within the confines of what Marvel is constricted to and what they want to try to do, it works for me at least. So
wonderful. I've been loving this series so far. I love this past episode too. It's no exception. I will say that I think for me, and this is really not saying a whole lot, because collectively it's been such a great series, and even this week's episode was great. There was some slight weaknesses in this that made this for me, the least good of the 3 episodes so far. Not because it's, and again, it's not a slight on the episode. It's that good of a series that when a really good episode like this is kind of like the weakest link so far, it's telling how great the series is as a whole. My biggest issue, I think, had to do with the villains and the clandestine, and in the very beginning, these are characters that you end up going like, I like these guys. They're like a family. They're so cool. And then literally out of nowhere, there's this 180 switch on them. And you're kind of like, they're really sinister now. And that kind of comes out of nowhere. So that was kind of my one reservation of it. That's literally the last 2 episodes I really had no complaints over. This is the one episode that I had a complaint, and it's literally a complaint, one complaint, thus making us the weakest of the 3 episodes, but still a really fantastic episode. And even in that narrative sort of weakness, there's so much more in this episode that strengthens it and makes it just a really good, culturally significant episode for this series, that I respect and love. And of course, every character, even not the clandestine folks, but like every character that we've been introduced to is just winning me more and more over every single week, from the Khan family to Bruno to everyone just involved. They're fantastic. So love this episode. Had that one minor gripe about it, which we can get into, but overall it sounds like again, it's continuing a winning streak for this series. So yeah, that's great. Diving into the details of the series a little further, we start the series out, or sorry, the episode out right now, with British occupied India in 1942. And there's a lot going on in this episode. We see Kamala's, is it great grandmother or grandmother? Grandmother, no, great grandmother.
Great
grandmother.
Yeah. And
because her grandmother she still talks to. Remember, she was on a
through the phone. Yeah,
call,
right.
on with her. Yeah,
I was like,
that's how I remembered. So yeah,
that's right. Her great grandmother and the rest of the clandestine are searching for an artifact. Obviously, we know it's the bracelet. And the coolest thing about this is we see it on a blue hand, which could indicate a lot in Marvel. There's a lot of blue characters in Marvel, of course. But I think the first thing that everyone, thought of when they saw the blue hand, I think were Kree, because Kree have ties to the Inhumans, right? And in the comics, that is Kamala's heritage. And then, of course, they're searching for the band. They're saying that they really need it. They're going to use it, even though it would be great to have two. They have one, but they're going to try and use it. Kamala's great grandmother and the rest of the team get separated, and that's all we see of that flashback. And then we cut to, of course, the clandestine explaining all of this to Kamala, but then diving in a little bit more into the mythology. They're from a dimension, we find out, called the Nor dimension, Nor meaning light, right? And what we thought might have been Kree or Inhumans, they actually revealed, as you mentioned, Jasmin, that they're actually descended from Jinn. And what's that?
They're clandestines.
Clandestines, yes. Yeah. So to me, I'm going to stop there. I do want, that's a lot for us to unpack. What did you guys think of this first half? Did you guys also think that maybe that might have been Kree hand and human hand? And really the implications of this being Jinn heritage, Jasmin especially, I'd love to hear your perspective on that. But yeah, before I do that, Michael, what were you going to say? I'm sorry I interrupted.
No, there's also an interesting thing about the temple, because when they do that, from the shot up and looking down, you can see there's a 10 ring symbol there as well.
I totally didn't even catch that.
Yeah, there's a 10 ring symbol.
This is why I like having these calls.
No. So that's what I found interesting.
Probably why Shang-Chi is on Avengers Campus right now. They returned.
Bracelets, magic bracelets.
Magic bracelets, bangles and whatnot. So
thank you for catching that.
I was wondering, if it is a Kree, what's that whole connection now between the Nor, the 10 rings, and the Kree? So
yeah. Very, very fascinating. Jasmin, your take on all this?
I think it's very interesting. Clandestines are part of so I already knew Cameron was from the comics. So when I saw this coming, I don't know if it's because I read the comics but the very quick romance thing was very off-putting. I'm like, ooh, this guy is gonna have some darkness to him. Just because that's the way kind of Marvel sets things up, and it was way too quick. Plus there's already somebody there's a bit obviously some friction with Bruno, because Bruno obviously has a soft spot for Camilla. And so I already knew Cameron was going to have somewhat of a shady sort of background and situation. So the clandestines actually exist in Marvel, and so does Cameron. And Cameron is in the comics an Inhuman, but because they're going in a different direction, I don't know if he's going to have his powers activated, because again, all the Inhumans have had their powers activated by the Terrigen Mist, which they kind of removed out of this story. Right. Noor actually is an Arabic word that means day. So I really like that. Okay. And I've discussed so many times how representation is so important. But another thing is that as I'm watching this as an Arab Muslim, when they say you can see the Noor in somebody and it extends their life, that's an Arabic phrase. When somebody is good, they shine. So it's in Arabic, they shine with Noor inside of them. So I could watching this, I know somebody is that had wrote this and directed this and produced this. They're all either in a Middle Eastern family, Middle Eastern themselves, married to one, because it's just so in depth. But you watching it would have never caught on to that. You're like, oh yeah, Noor means like light and cool. That's it. End of story, right? Which is I like how they use that because it mirrors. So this is another weird thing that maybe nobody noticed. Again, because I'm Arab, but in Moon Knight, the female character, and that is Layla, and Layla means night. So it's the opposite of Noor.
Yeah.
And I don't know if anyone has picked up on it, but I thought that was very interesting because Moon Knight and Miss Marvel are back to back, and Marvel is very meticulous when it comes to their timing of things. And so, like I said, like Shang-Chi is back on Avengers Campus very randomly. They had this whole interaction with him and Miss Marvel happening, and in this episode, the same day that he appears on Avengers Campus, or the same time, this episode with hints to the 10 Rings also happens, and then we start to think about, oh yeah, what happened at the end of Shang-Chi with the bonus scene. But anyway, I digress. Your question was about talking about the Noor and stuff. I think it's a very interesting way of tying in history to Marvel and to it's not just like, oh, this is the background, right? We're not going down they're doing something similar to mirroring what happened with Captain America, and Winter Soldier, where they're like mirroring like what happened in Nazi Germany and the scientists. So I feel like it's pretty interesting, but they're taking it now to obviously the Middle East and Asia. So I think it's very interesting, and I'm excited to see where they're gonna go with this.
Of course.
All right. So
go ahead, Mike.
I'm gonna
lots of Easter eggs.
I can't get rid of this, but there's this shot right there, and it's glaring, but at the 3:10 mark timestamp, you'll be able to see
intentionally, right? They had to have it at 3:10 for the 10 rings, but
yeah, okay. You'll see it. So but
unless you're a blind, oblivious moron like me, where you're just like watching it going like and there's like you're like not connecting anything. But okay.
There's so many Easter eggs. Like they are dropping them like crazy. Like I noticed like 3 of them today in the first half of the episode because I was rewatching it. So I'm so sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
No. But if you'll miss it. I mean, if you're not looking for something, because I'll admit I was watching this like half tired because I watched the Obi-Wan finale. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute, is this what I think it is? And then I like reversed and everything, like, oh yeah, it is. So
the 10 rings. I need to rewatch this right now, just because I totally believe you. I'm just angry at myself for not seeing it. So I'm like, redemption time. And then when I do stop it at 3:10, I'm gonna be like, I saw it there, I saw it. And yeah. Anyways. But I'm glad you guys pointed that out. I'm really, there's a lot to unpack when it comes to the 10 rings, when it comes to Inhumans, when it comes to Kree, starting with the idea that we know that the 10 rings is very ancient, after we deconstructed it with Wong, Captain Marvel, and Hulk. We also know that the Kree in the comics are also somewhat very ancient. They came down to Earth, and experimented on the first human beings, I guess, cavemen, what have you. And that's how Inhumans were created, right? So there can't be a coincidence that you've got all of these characters presenting themselves that are really ancient beings, whether it's Kree, whether it's clandestine / Jinn, whether it's the 10 rings, whether it's the Eternals. All of this has to come into play in some way, shape, or form. And with Feige also saying that they're building up to something here, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a lot more about the history of the MCU kind of revealing itself very, very slowly. So really good catches, you guys. Any last comments before we move on?
Yeah, I don't know if that's I mean, so when they were digging it up, did you see like blue as in like the blue skin or a blue suit? So I thought it was a
skin.
I
think it's blue skin from what I saw.
The hand, it was
it was an entire hand that was blue.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I need to go back because I thought it was like a blue glove, but so that's why I thought it was like maybe one of the past Marvels or something like that from another dimension or another obviously universe because it's the multiverse. So
it'd be kind of crazy if it, like you said, if it was a genie, because that'd be like a nice kind of
Nod to Aladdin.
nod to. Yeah, I was gonna say like to Aladdin because he had a bangle and everything like that, and his skin was blue and whatnot. So.
Yeah.
I do like offhand top comments is so Simu Liu, who is Shang-Chi, his I guess claim to fame is Kim's Convenience. Saw on it was on Netflix or Hulu, but anyway, so his family dynamic, I don't know if anybody's like made the connection, but his parents are a lot like Camilla's parents.
No way.
Very similar dynamic, one sibling, you know, a best friend, and the best friends are similar. They're both nerdy. So I'm seeing like a lot of these like ties. It might be just purely coincidental, but I really like it. So that's another thing. I don't know if anyone's watched Kim's Convenience, but Appa the dad, who is in Star Wars, he was one of the pilots. He's a lot like Camilla's dad, like goofy, down to earth, best dad, vibes. So yeah. But that's another thing.
Kamala and Shang-Chi have a lot in common.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome. There was something I really wanted to bring up with you, Jasmin, and hopefully I'm not touching on any controversy here. I've heard a lot of mixed reaction to the Jinn origin being revealed here. I think there have been folks in the Muslim community that have been a little bit offended by the fact that they kind of made Kamala part Jinn, I guess. And, I kind of wanted to know what your thoughts were on it. Was that something that, I mean, it didn't sound like it, but just your thoughts on whether or not you thought maybe there was anything offensive about it on your end. Were you were pretty much okay with it? If that was the case, what were your thoughts on that? I think.
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, because we're getting a little more into like Islam territory. So there's going to be a lot more like sensitive material, right? So instead of like a Terrigen Mist activating her powers, her being part Jinn obviously is very different. Mm-hmm. And we don't know if that's going to fully be canon or that's what they're just telling her. And she is, an inhuman. So we don't know for sure. I don't see a problem with it because Jinn are fictional. So I don't see the problem. I mean, this is Marvel. It's all fictional. As much as we wish it was real, or as much as we wish we were heroes ourselves or knew them. But I don't see the problem. But I don't want to invalidate anybody's concerns either. So if somebody feels the type of way in my experience and what I know and my history lessons of it, it's really not. It's not bad. It's not a bad thing. Yeah, it's just a lot more fantasy. So it makes her more unrealistic, I guess. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't lessen her value or make her less of a human being or a person or a Muslim for being part Jinn. I think it's a cool twist.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And yes, of course. I mean, granted, if folks out there did take away something negative from that, we hear you and we hope that hopefully things from a story standpoint pan out a little bit more positively for you guys later on. We definitely love this show. We love what it represents from a cultural standpoint, and we love that folks are feeling very much seen and represented by it. So I think at the end of the day, hopefully it does more good than bad. But
I'm a huge fan of you can love something and you could still simultaneously find flaws or criticize it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love it more or less. You could have both. Like, it's not so black and white. Like, I don't have to vehemently defend something and love every aspect of it to be a fan. I could love it and be like, for example, I would have much preferred the Terrigen Mist activating her powers because it would have released so much more characters, and they're taking out. Like, without the Inhumans, they are taking out Medusa, they're taking out Lockjaw, they're taking out a lot of things that I did really love in the comics. So I could say, like, yeah, I wish you went that direction, but I know as a Marvel fan, I know it's probably because, again, like I said, X-Men. So me criticizing it or seeing a flaw in that or wishing it could be another way doesn't at all like take away from the fact that we're all big fans. I mean, I think it means we're even bigger fans because we're able to see that, discuss it, still love it, still appreciate it, still consume it, in all its entirety. So yeah.
Excellent point. Any last minute any last minute things to add before we move on? Okay,
Not yet. No.
moving on.
It's still sitting at the top, by the way, of like the most watched Disney Plus MCU show, which I'm really happy about.
I think it's definitely, I mean, this week, of course, because, and this is kind of one of the things I wish Disney Plus didn't do, or Disney didn't do. I wish they didn't put it out right there next to Obi-Wan, because,
Right.
you know, I think that just steamrolled it. Everyone's going to watch Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Right.
But now that Obi-Wan is over, mercifully, we're
3
going to,
episodes now.
yeah,
Tell us how you really feel.
Well, we'll have maybe Kamala Khan, maybe Ms. Marvel will potentially reach that top of the charts for their trending, because I think people, the lovely thing about this is people are catching on to how good it is. It remained a really high trending topic on the weeks that it debuted, because people were catching it and going like, this is great, you guys need to watch this is fantastic.
Right.
So I think honestly this is going to end up gaining more and more traction as weeks go by, as the episodes drop, and people are just going to fall in love with Kamala the same way that we all fell in love with her. So moving on. So the next couple of scenes I thought were kind of neat. Of course, Kamala goes back to Bruno, tells him everything that she found out from the rest of the clandestines. Bruno, of course, name drops Eric Selvig, which is kind of a nice little nod to every Thor fan out there. Researching a paper about, the Jinn, the clandestine, that was written by Selvig. And then, we cut then to damage control. Very interestingly enough, kind of invading a mosque, this imagery of these government agents going into a mosque and feeling that they have the authority to just search for whoever they want, because they've been linked back to a mosque. I think in last week's show, our guests kind of touched upon this idea that they were kind of commenting on, the anti-Islam reaction to 9/11 back in 2001 and everything like that, and drawing parallels from that.
Yeah.
And I think
there was a lot in this show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love
subtle,
that.
But you could, if you were watching, if you're paying attention, and if you know, type beat. But yep.
Down to that invasion of damage control kind of just going in there.
Right.
One of the things I loved about it was Nakia comes in, she kicks some ass and just goes, "You guys need a search warrant for this." Yeah, I've seen it on Law and Order, but it's freaking true. You guys can't just search things around.
By the way, I watch Law and Order, so when she said that, I was just like, we have the same name. Like the actress's name is Jasmin, and that's also my name. Just no one can pronounce it, so it's just Jasmine. But like when she said that, I like screamed. I was like, yes, I feel seen on another whole level. She watches Law and Order. I watch Law and Order.
It makes Law and Order canon now. Now Law and Order is part of the MCU universe.
I know. Isn't it kind of crazy that in the MCU people are watching Law and Order, Batman, Superman, all these things like that are officially fictional canon? Like it's crazy.
Especially like Miss Marvel. Like I feel like she does that whole like almost Deadpool thing where she like breaks the fourth wall.
Yeah.
And she's like a nerd like the rest of us, right? She like idolizes Captain Marvel, and she's a cosplayer. She goes to a convention, and you know what I'm saying? Like all of these things, it's like, whoa, like
yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And yeah, Nakia is just such a great character. I kind of loved it because, damage control tries to beef up the situation and justify themselves by going like, this is a very serious threat. And I love that Nakia just kind of fires back. Is it serious because she's enhanced or because she's linked to a mosque? And they shut the hell up. And I love that. Right. And then just as a final snap, Sheikh Abdullah goes, "Next time remove your shoes before you come in marching in here." Yeah. And we're like, mushroom cloud, take that, damage control. Thoughts on this scene overall? Mike, we'll start with you. What do you think of all this?
Before I get to that, I just like appreciated how they presented Bruno, as a person who actually likes Kamala. He's like the other guy, but how he genuinely cares for Kamala. He's like, you know what? I got accepted to Caltech, but I don't think I can leave until he knows Kamala's safe because she's going through this whole change and everything. So I like that evolution of that kind of character. We get to see more of him and his vulnerabilities and who he cares about. So I thought that was a nice touch to that scene. But going on to the mosque one, that pretty much sent a message about Marvel comic or Marvel Studios commentary on all the search and seizures, illegal search and seizures from that stems from all the trauma from 9/11. I thought that was powerful, and we got to see that the mosque and the Muslims and the Kia doesn't have to put up with it anymore. This is 2022. Time to put your foot down. You have rights as well. So I thought that was a nice touch as well.
Yeah, awesome. Jasmin?
Thanks for saying it right.
I'm going to say it right from going forward. I promise.
Yeah. So yeah, everything Mike said, like I echoing all of that, and I think it's really important that they like said something and they stood up for themselves, and also I think well, again, it's a bit of a soft spot, right? But later on, we'll probably discuss that later, but like I'm just connecting these two because it's really important to this topic. But when they are getting married, her brother is getting married, which by the way, I think is beautiful. It's an interracial marriage. And I was like, that's amazing. And really reflective of what it's like today for Muslims, and especially American Muslims. But when they're doing takbir, which was when they say, who goes takbir, and everyone says Allahu Akbar, which means God is great. That was like the phrase that everyone kind of like memed and threw around and would play jokes. And because like the terrorists would say that and then, blow themselves up. And so it was for so long associated with that, and it was so shitty because it's like that is not what that means. That is like a complete bastardization of like what that phrase is, and completely just dehumanized it and took power away from it. So that mosque scene with them coming in, plus them saying that later in the scene and in the environment where it is said, which is like a pleasant environment, a positive environment, a celebratory environment, just was dismantling left and right this negativity that had surrounded Muslims for the longest time because of 9/11. So it's the patriotism, and we're trying to protect our country, but like oppressing the shit out of you. And that was just like a facade, and as well as that phrase, which is so important to Muslims. And it's crazy because like I'm watching that, I'm just like, whoa, this is like a lot heavier of an episode than I think people would necessarily get. You'd have to watch a couple of times and like maybe talk to some Muslims or listen to them to like fully get the depth of how intense it was, and what the writers know exactly what they're doing. They're knocking it like out of the park, home run, in terms of giving you entertainment as well as dismantling, all these negative stereotypes and ideas, and teaching you as well. So I thought it was great. And I'm very happy with that. I don't know how they're going to outdo themselves next time, because this episode was great. Yeah, I agree with you. It's not as good as the first two, but like that's also because I want to see more action too. But yeah, that was really cool. Did you guys like the Mehendi part with the henna when they're drawing all the stuff?
I saw that.
I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it's a lot of fun, and guys can get it too.
I love that. I mean, from your experience, is it pretty accurate? Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah, is it kind of like, and forgive me for my ignorance, please. Is it very much kind of traditional for weddings to sort of have those kinds of sessions where people are getting like the henna tattoos and everything like that, like
right?
kind of getting together.
So I'm not Pakistani, so this whole like hiding the shoes thing is a Pakistani thing.
Got it.
And so one of my friends who is Pakistani watching this knew exactly what was going on and like broke it down for me, which was really nice. But yeah, it was not religious, it was more cultural. And so the henna is a temporary dye that they use, usually actually naturally use it on your hair, and it's very enriching, but then people also use it as on the skin and do these amazing, intricate, beautiful designs. And again, like I said, men and women can do it, but it's mostly women. And everybody gets it done in the wedding party. Everybody's mom, aunt, it's a big deal. It's one of the wedding celebrations. But on the bride, they do something cute where they hide the groom's name or initials somewhere in there. And the groom has to find it like the night of the wedding, which I think is really sweet. But yeah, it's really pretty. And then you could choose whatever design you want. Like when my friend got married, she's Indian Hindu. So, you know, the opposite of Pakistani Muslim. And she got it done, and everybody else gets it done as well. So I chose, this is super nerdy, but I chose Karapica's chains from Hunter x Hunter on my hand. I was like, so, you know, you do whatever you want to make sense.
I love that.
It makes you smile, but yeah, you don't have to do traditional things. You know, there's a weeb, you know. Yeah.
Well, that's really awesome, actually.
It's cute, yeah. We'll have a party sometime when this is all over, and you guys can totally get henna, and they last like a week. And
yeah, I'd love that. I'd totally get all the like probably Avengers logo or something like that on me and henna. You know, that'd be awesome.
You can get like those like, you know, gauntlet. You could like the jewels, the Infinity Stone.
That's brilliant.
Iron Man.
I like that.
Yeah,
I love that. Oh my god. Yeah, we definitely have to do this now. Now that we're talking about it, this has to become real. Thank you for sharing all that with us.
Sure,
because, you know, I'm not experienced at all in any of this. I think maybe a lot of folks watching might not be as well. So to kind of see it in Ms. Marvel, but then also have an explanation to back it up like that, I think is really enriching for everyone who's watching this. So thank you for that.
Yeah, sure. I'm glad everyone's kind of like watching it, and they're not, I was like really scared, to be honest. I was like, I don't want them to lay it on heavy, because I don't want people to get lost and be like, oh, right, this is like a history lesson. Like, I'm not getting any of the comics. I'm not getting superheroes, but they're doing it in such a like a cute way, because like I said, her brother, his powers get activated too by the Terrigen Mist. He's an Inhuman for a very short period of time. It goes away, but like, you know, him being in the series is actually really important too. It's not just, you know, playing to her culture or you know what a lot of people were saying, like, oh, Marvel's gone PC culture, you know, like they're doing this because of, you know, liberalism. No, it's a heavy part of the show, or of the comics. So yeah, there's a reason why all of this is happening.
And it's very important and inherent to this character. You can't have or talk about Kamala without literally touching upon what makes her unique from the Marvel canon. And I'm not just talking about like the show. If you're going into the show and thinking to yourself, oh, they're just doing this because of wokeness or whatever, you know, I mean, like, which is complete garbage, by the way, like that rhetoric. You clearly don't know anything about Marvel comics, because literally, like, they've been doing this stuff since the freaking X-Men. That was the point of the X-Men, you know.
Magneto, Wanda, Sokovia. I mean,
it was a response.
Daredevil.
Exactly. It was all a response to discrimination and to empower the outcasts in society, you know, and to bring them in and to generate, you know, a sense of community amongst people who felt like they weren't, you know, accepted by everyone.
Folks.
Completely marginalized folks. And of course, you know, I mean, like, even Kamala's history, which, you know, sadly and disappointingly didn't happen until the early thousands, you know, early 2010s, you know, that was the first time we saw a Muslim superhero, and Marvel wasn't trying to be woke then or anything like that. They were just trying to tell the story of a character that was somewhat different than all the other characters that were created at that point.
The first writer for Ms. Marvel is even Middle Eastern or Asian. She's white, you know, and she's Muslim. She's a revert. But yeah, so I think that's really important to also,
which they have in the second episode. Right? They refer to a group as a revert.
Yeah,
exactly, because they say everybody's born Muslim. So when you convert to Islam, it's actually reverting, because you're going back to the religion that you were born as. But that's not neither here or there. But yeah, there's a bunch of writers on this, including for Ms. Marvel, and I'm seeing their touches in the episodes. Like, they're really paying their respects. So G. Willow Wilson is a lady I was just discussing. Sana Anamat is the other one who has had a very heavy influence. You hear her name multiple times.
Of course.
So where that name comes from. And then later on, for Magnificent Ms. Marvel, I don't know if we're going to get to see that, but we have Saladin Ahmed, who is well known to be the writer of Miles Morales' Spider-Man. So I felt like the Spider-Verse vibes were kind of in his honor. When we see all these like neons and things happening in the background that's being incorporated and telling the story of the show as well.
That's great. That's a great connection, actually, especially when you take a look at like some of the wall art that is meant to look like graffiti and then it animates itself, like in the first episode and everything like that.
Right.
You know, I'm very.
I need more of that. That was amazing.
That was
that was brilliant.
And I even noticed today another Easter egg. Her room, they had an art of a very popular American Indian artist.
Yeah,
who her art's really it's like pulp culture and revolutionary, and they've done their work. Like there are so many, just like I said for the first episode, G. Willow Wilson's name is on the outside of the school. Like they're putting in work, and like Mike noticed the 10 rings. So like there's all these little tiny. We need to start making a list.
Yeah,
I didn't even notice that because I just wasn't aware of it until you brought it up. So now I'm just gonna look at her room and say,
with our powers combined, we'll figure them all out.
I'm literally gonna watch. I'm literally gonna watch episode 4, pausing every 5 seconds to analyze to where's Waldo the situation. I swear to God, I feel like I haven't come as prepared as I should be for these sessions, because if I'm missing even something as awesome as the 10 rings, like, and a lot of these Easter eggs, this would be a joy for us to point out, especially for folks watching this. So yeah.
Yes.
On the topic of the Mendy scene, obviously one of the things that I just loved about it, of course, Bruno's doing his research, but he leaves Kamala a box. And, as Kamala's kind of opening the box, we see Sheikh Abdulla come out. And this I love. This conversation I really, really love for multiple reasons. The best and the most of which, of course, is we get to hear a certain mantra that I think matters a lot. But before we get to mantra, one of the things that I kind of love is Kamala is conflicted. She's wondering, especially after her conversation with Nakia about damage control going into the mosque, if she's doing more harm than good. It's kind of a touching scene, because she goes like, all I wanted to do was it would have been just cool to have a superhero who was fighting for us, because we don't have that. And that is the sentiment that so many people felt when Ms. Marvel debuted, when Kamala Khan debuted. I mean, we didn't have people who of the Islamic faith, people of Muslim faiths, people of Pakistani and Indian heritage did not have someone fighting for them. And then when it came out, that's what they felt. So for Kamala to say something like that, even if she's talking about herself, I think it gave me the feels. And she was like, but I'm worried if I'm making things worse. How do I convince people that she's good? And then we get the mantra, and everybody who's a Ms. Marvel fan sort of, he said the thing.
The equivalent of hello there when Obi-Wan said it. When he said it, I was just like, yes, I was waiting for this. It was the most infamous quote in Ms. Marvel. So
would you like to give it to us, Jasmin, just for folks who don't know what the quote is?
Good is not a thing you are, it's a thing you do.
Oh, I got goosebumps right now.
Memorize.
I got goosebumps. Yes. I love that, she hears it from Sheikh Abdulla, and it's the perfect Ms. Marvel moment, coupled with the mask, the reveal of the mask too.
Right.
And to me, I was just like, you guys were asking for Ms. Marvel. That right there is Ms. Marvel, guys. Thoughts on that overall?
I think it was a great nod to because again, I'm going to keep referencing the comic books, but I do so because I have a bit of a chip on my shoulder about that, just because a lot of people, that was like their number one criticism. And I feel like if you want to say you're racist, just say you're racist and go. Like, just not bringing up the comics as some sort of a criticism point, because I'm going to keep bringing it up, and I'm going to prove how they are sticking to the comics. When Kamala's powers are activated by the Terrigen Mist, she actually is Carol Danvers, the black leotard, thigh-high boots, red sash, blonde Carol Danvers, Miss Marvel. And so she looks at herself, she's like, I am hot, but I am not comfortable, and this is not me. And so she goes and she tries to make her own costume. So just like your current background right now, Mike, when she's in that episode 2, when she's fighting and stuff, she's trying to obviously hide her identity. So she has Captain Marvel's mask that she, I think, used for her cosplay. So Bruno giving her that, and then tied at that same moment with Sheikh Abdulla saying, hey, good, is, not a thing you are, a thing you do. So that was like the perfect, like, you have now become Miss Marvel. You know, like this was like the perfect like penultimate before the so I think the next episode we're gonna get a very big reveal, you know, especially since it's gonna be like that's the second half of the season, because there's only, I bet there's 6, right? Only 6 episodes.
There's 6. Yeah.
Halfway through.
So that happening, like her finishing her outfit pretty much, and you know, that quote, it was just like, boom, this is Miss Marvel.
This is Miss Marvel.
So that's how I saw it. Yeah, that's what I really liked it. I think that happened, and like you said, like goosebumps. I was like, okay, that was like very well executed.
Yeah.
Very well done.
Mike, your thoughts?
Oh, I can't add anything more to what Jasmin said. It was just so beautiful. But I think it just goes to show that there's a global feel to this. That quote can apply to anybody. Basically, it's just not a one central thing, but it has much more of an impact because it's a marginalized group. So I think it's so much stronger. But yeah,
Love it.
I'm honored to share a last name with the Sheikh, just to let you know. Like, yeah, it's like I'm really happy that we have the same name.
Yeah,
I like
so you
awesome.
feel seen. That's what's so great about it, honestly.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it's you know, there's so many folks that could identify with it, with that last name or with the last name Khan, and to look up at the screen and see that represented, see people that you can relate to, characters that you can relate to. That means everything. That means the world. Like when Shang-Chi came out, you know, for me as an Asian male, you know, I was just like, oh my God, it's something I can cosplay as without having to, you know, be a white guy. So
it's not racial bending, you know. So,
right. Yeah. Which I mean, cosplay, you could cosplay whatever
you cosplay as anything. Yeah,
but there's a special, it's a
connection.
Special feeling when you're exactly. It's like it's another level when you're already that.
It's me, you know. Yeah. Exactly. So I love that. There's, you know, I know that, you know, we're in the interest of time, I'm going to skip over a couple of things, or at least summarize a couple of things that I really, really liked. You know, Bruno, of course, kind of explained to Kamala that after doing the research with Selvig's notes, there was a group of clandestine or exiles from the Jinn, you know, and if you help them bend space and time to try and get them back to their homes, some things might go boom, you know, and so there's a danger at all of this. And I thought it was kind of weird that nobody was questioning why these guys were exiled, you know, or anything like that, you know, that they commit some sort of wrongdoings or something like that, that violated the natural order of things, who knows. There's also, you know, we cut from that to a really nice moment as well with Kamala and her mom. She's nursing the little wound that she got from hitting a drone and the falling off the bike thing. And, you know, Maniba, something that really touched me, touches on her story, about being an immigrant, coming to America, with her father and not having anyone, not knowing the language that well. And needing to find that sense of community, needing to find the family that she does create and make, based off of the people that she finds, but of course also the family that she makes, you know, with Kamala and Kamala's brother and everything like that. Thoughts on that moment, really just talking about the immigrant story and the story of Americans, you know, in general.
I connected with it immediately because I'm the son of immigrant parents,
of course,
and it's almost, the story is almost beat for beat, honestly. My mom and dad came here alone. They had to find their own community. They connected with people who we consider our uncles, you know, even though they're not by blood, they're just by name, sort of thing. So it's just the same thing. And for Kamala and her mom, they went to the mosque. My parents went to the church, sort of thing. So it's almost the same. And I really connected with it. And I just like, that's my mom's story. But, you know, it's much more impactful to see it from a Muslim standpoint, because, you know, their stories aren't as told as, you know, on this kind of scale. So, but yeah,
absolutely.
It just goes to show that there's, the same stories, but just slightly different touches.
Jasmin, did you connect to it as well?
Oh, dude. I think the timing was very, again, like, I don't know, like Marvel is next level genius, or the story writers are just, I don't know, like Nobel Peace Prize winners for the, again, how intricate it is. But the day that episode premiere was like National Immigrant Day in America. And so I was like stunned. I was like, the timing's insane. But yes, my parents are refugees from Iraq. Very, very similar story, right? So they were escaping their own type of partition. It was more like Saddam, you know, it's dictatorship, and it reached the him invading Kuwait and Iran and that whole issue in the 80s. And so my mom would tell me when she got here, she barely knew the language, didn't know anybody. My dad was busting his butt, working 2 jobs, going to school, right? And she's trying to make friends and she couldn't, and it was hard. And she talked about how like coming to America isn't all that it's like, you know, everyone's like, oh, land of golden opportunities. It isn't all that it's chalked up to be. And given today's political news with, you know, Roe v. Wade being overturned, we're very much now seeing that. It's not only just like an immigrant thing, but like that affects everybody, not just even women or people who have a uterus. Everyone's going to be affected by this. So it's just really, like I said, it is just breaking all of these like stereotypes and ideas. And, you know, a lot of people also think immigrants are just like freeloaders, and it's so difficult. You know, I can't imagine the pain, you know, my parents had coming here, trying to create a life and a better opportunity for us, just to be met with a whole new set of challenges, you know. And a lot of immigrants will tell you that will mirror that same story from all over the world, not just Middle Eastern, not just Muslims, but yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, it was very touching when she said that. Again, like, I just, episode after episode, you know, it's just coming from my guts. It's just like, it's hard, it hurts, but it's so good and validating at the same time. And I'm like, okay, I'm not the only person that has dealt with this, you know, and Marvel Disney is recognizing it. That means far more than, you know, anyone can ever imagine.
It's kind of amazing that, you know, you brought it up, and you hit the nail on the head too. It's kind of something that we need to see and hear this day and age, in my opinion, because the America that we woke up to this morning, it's not the America that we all thought this should be, at least even the America that's even being reflected on this show. And for you know, Maniba to really touch on this, her experiences, that's the America that we're supposed to have. That's literally America. That is the American story, right? That's right. The America that we're supposed to know. So, you know, if, you know, I don't mean to take a break from the show and get to real world events, but, you know, if you're in a place of negativity or anything like that right now, especially given the news that came this morning about Roe v. Wade and everything like that, if you don't recognize this country anymore, all I can tell you and hope for you, you know, that you'll do is take a break from all of it. Watch a show like this that kind of speaks to the American story at its core, because that's what this is, regardless of the color of the skin of the people on that show, and embrace the idea that that's what America should be. That's the America that we want. And, you know, embrace as well the positivity behind a show that's empowering a female character. Because unfortunately, you know, we're not seeing a whole lot of that these days. So hopefully folks get that from Ms. Marvel. And, you know, it doesn't matter if it's what people might consider to be a silly little comic book show or whatever. This means a lot to everyone. I hope that everyone takes something away from this, at least, you know, has something at least powerful about the female spirit and the you know, than anything. Not that I should speak to it. I'm not qualified to speak to it.
You're fine.
But yeah,
yeah.
But that being said, yeah.
I just noticed a dog. That's all.
Oh, the baby! Snowball, say hi.
Hi.
Say hi. She's yeah. She wants the love.
What's her name?
Snowball. It doesn't make any sense.
Snowball.
She's black.
Oh, hi, Snowball. Oh, you're so
Snowball,
cute. Look how sweet you are.
Yeah.
Snowball. You're so cute.
So cute.
A good girl. Yes.
So, yeah.
Let's just make this the show from now on is
Snowball her thoughts.
Snowball.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So we're about to wrap up, I think, the rest of the episode. I'll summarize it very quickly. So basically, we get to the wedding, we get to a dance sequence, of which an amazing dance sequence, with the exception of the fact that Matt Lintz really can't dance. I'm sorry, Matt. I think you're amazing at other things. You're gifted in other ways. No, I'm kidding.
Maybe
But
that's why he didn't make Spider-Man. Just kidding. I don't know if you saw that, but he came out and said he was supposed to be Spider-Man. But all the Spider-Mans can dance, especially Tobey Maguire. So like that was probably it. Two left feet.
Yeah, you got 2 left feet. But we still love you, Matt, even though you're not as good as everyone else on that dance floor. But that being said, it's an amazing dance sequence. We loved it. The wedding sequence itself was great, especially since if no one's been to, a Muslim wedding, watching them repeat their vows 3 times, that's a very sacred thing, I think, right?
Right,
Which is, I loved how realistic that was. And then, of course, Cameron shows up, crashes the wedding, literally and figuratively, and the whole clandestine show up. This is the part that kind of bothered me, because now they're just full on evil. Let's murder Kamala kind of mode, and I was kind of like, come on, you guys weren't. That's a very abrupt change.
Right.
A small minor quibble. But overall, let's get to that awesome fight sequence set to "Living on a Prayer" by Bon Jovi, because it doesn't get more New Jersey than that. What do we make of the fight sequence? With the glowing fists, which serve as a very awesome visual homage to the Kamala that we know with the embiggen powers. Thoughts on that, Jasmin? I'll start with you.
Yes, I was waiting for that. I was waiting. I was like, she needs to embiggen, and I need to see it happen now. So when that happened, I was just like, oh, finally. And it's very interesting. I'm left with mixed feelings about Kamran. I don't know where we're gonna go next with him, but that's can't wait to see more. What about you, Mike?
I thought it was great. She's still untrained. She's acting on pure instinct, and I like it's just more of an evolution of her powers. So yeah.
And it's just nice to see that imagery, I think, right? Like to see
iconic. How many? There are so many of her covers that have her like with her arm and her hand, like her hand's huge. So
that.
We needed that.
Yeah, we needed that. I thought it was awesome. I definitely think that, like, of course, the first 2 episodes are kind of just immersing us in this world, doing a great job of establishing her and her culture, her character. Now we're starting to get to the action beats, and I think it's just going to pick up from here. And I'm really excited about just seeing her don the full outfit, stretching to the skies and whacking people with her fists. It's gonna be amazing, and everything that they're setting up is terrific.
Mm-hmm.
As she's fighting with these guys, they touch her bracelet, and the vision of this train just comes crashing through, and then damage control comes in and starts detaining everyone. Thankfully, Kamala is able to get out of there with Bruno. Nakia discovers that Kamala has powers. There's going to be a big conversation about that next episode. Hopefully, she gets it. Kamala also goes home. Her parents wondered if she pulled the fire alarm, and they're asking what's going on with her. Honestly, I really wish that she would just, for once, as a refreshing change of pace in the superhero story, just tell your parents. They've got your back. Maybe it gives them plausible deniability, and that makes sense. But I don't know. It would make your life so much easier.
It's so weird, because going back to the mom nursing the Kamala's injury, because whatever mountain you're facing, you could tell me, and it would have been a nice like bookend to like, you know what, I'm going to tell you the truth. So that's a good point.
Yeah.
She should just be honest. Yeah.
Just be honest.
But come on, how many of us had that with our parents where we hid it from them, even if we thought we were doing the right thing, we just hid things from them,
True.
Yeah. I haven't told my mom I'm a superhero. So no.
I ran away to go to Avengers Con, guys.
that would actually happen, but no, I'm kidding. No, but yeah, you're right, Jasmin. it's so easy for people to say, just have the conversation. It's so much harder in execution, especially with families like ours sometimes, and in our culture as well. So it does make a lot of sense actually, now that you think about it.
That's what I figured, but I agreed with you. I thought that was going to happen in the bathroom when she was helping her with her knee. I was like, and then I was like, ah.
Yeah. What would have been interesting, in my opinion, and I'm not the writer of the show. Obviously, they know what they're doing. We've seen it, but it would have been interesting if she did tell them, and we get the opposite reaction for what happened in the bathroom. Like, we get supportive, and it's easier to be supportive when you're not dealing with the news that somebody's got powers, and then all of a sudden it's kind of like it complicates their relationship even more, or something like that. Like that.
Comics, the Sheik finds out, I think, first. So I think we're gonna see that with him, and we're already starting to see like he's kind of like a bit of a comedic relief in him and the dad, but also very like feminist as well, because Nakia makes the board, which is amazing.
It's amazing. We didn't talk about that. I'm sorry. Yeah. She won.
She won. And so, I mean, we don't see her doing anything quite yet. So maybe in the next episode we do, and I'm sure it's going to happen. Yeah. But yeah, the fact that that's happening is it's turning into like a beautiful story for them. And I can't wait to see that like bloom where Nakia is in a powerful position as well as Camilla. So
absolutely. Yeah. And, finally, under the just stressful night that she has, Kamala goes to bed and just collapses on it, gets the phone call from her grandma, and her grandma tells her, I saw the train, what's going on, and we cut to black. I think we're getting answers the next episode. I'm pretty sure everyone's on that same page, right? Like, everything's going to be cards on the table. Yeah.
The pacing has been really good so far, honestly. I like what they're doing, because sometimes there's like these random fillers. Yeah. Like, I wasn't sure like with the wedding scene where they were going to go with that. But which is, by the way, very spot on. The very last minute teaching you how to dance, learning how to dance, doing random dances for a wedding. Very spot on for these type of things. But yeah, so I'm glad they have that, touches of like, culture and faith, but like it ties in, like the action scene comes in, or the story comes in that way. And so I like the pacing, and I like the storytelling style.
They're doing a really good job. She's not a perfect superhero. She's not a perfect person. And I think that's the appeal of any superhero, right? Like the humanization of a character that has abilities that transcend humanity. And I think that they've just done a terrific job with Kamala. Mike, any thoughts on that end? I guess.
No, I would. I like how she's a superhero, but she has all the struggles of any teenager we've all been teenagers, so we know what those struggles are like. Passing driver's tests, trying to not impress your mom, but live up to your parents' expectations.
Con crunching.
For sure.
1 week to AX, guys. Crunching.
That's not even a teenager problem. That's just an adult. That's an adult
problem.
That's on me. Yeah.
That's a literal yesterday problem. Yeah.
But yeah, I just connect. Everyone connects to those kind of stories, because like, oh my gosh, I had those same things, and and it's like I said, I've been saying, it's much more impactful now because it's from a marginalized group, and you get to see how it affects them, and and it adds just more nuance and more depth to the story, and I like that a lot. So
great. And Miss Marvel is supposed to be like, one of us, right? So it's like we're supposed to have that like connection to her as like, she's a bit more, normal, breaking the fourth wall, and like, she's us, we're her, so I think that all really helps with we're all far older than her. Some of us are like double her age, but I feel that like when I was a teenager. Literally same exact thing. So yeah.
And you know what? This is going to contribute so greatly to the Marvels, because when you think about the character of Carol, she's a wonderful character and everything, but I think she's super far removed from humanity at this point. She's not only got the powers of a god, but she, has really spent most of her time in space. among a lot of that time among the Kree, a lot of that time among people that aren't humans, to bring her down to earth with a character like Kamala, who embodies, literally the imperfections, but also the endearing spirit of humanity. I think is a dynamic that probably will remind Carol about, let's say, neglecting, Earth a little less, but we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, well, she literally neglected her friend because, she wasn't there at the time, and then Monica's going to hold some sort of resentment.
Yeah.
So
we'll
see how.
We're already building story here for just laying down the groundwork for stories based on who these characters are, from Ms. Marvel, WandaVision, and what we know of Carol today. So
yeah.
I think we are going to have to wrap up, guys. But before we do, I want to thank you both for your amazing input and another wonderful episode where we just talk and dive into the nooks and crannies of Ms. Marvel. Once more, let's do a round of goodbyes and final thoughts. And Jasmin, we'll start with you. Where can everyone find you?
Yeah, you can find me, Jasmin Joestar, on all social media. I'm a content creator, cosplayer, so I've been pumping out Ms. Marvel content like crazy. On Twitter, we'll have like a little more in-depth discussions, as well as on Twitch. But yeah, feel free to follow me there, or definitely jump into the conversations we're having.
Awesome, Mike.
Yeah, you can find me on all socials. I am Michael J. Lee, and you can find my writings at That's It LA, We Live Entertainment, and the Nerds of Color.
Awesome. And I'm Mike Manalo, your host again. You can find me at TidyBullBoy182 on Instagram and Twitter, and also my work on the Nerds of Color, whattowatch.com, and That's It LA. For now, we'll see you guys next week, and hopefully stay positive, guys. I know that we're in tough times, but we're all here for each other.
Hang in there. Yeah.
Hang in there. All right. Bye.